Hello everyone, and welcome to Dragon Riders episode 3. Let's get this can...
Oh, it feels like so many more than that. I was like, wait, is it only 3?
Well, it's episode 3 of season 2.
Oh, I know, it's just, yeah, that's part of why I'm just like... Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Yes, episode 3 of Dragon Riders. For those of you who are keeping up with the schedule, we have an episode next week where Katie will be back, which will be awesome. And then we've got a week break. But during that week break, in that week, we also have the premiere of the QT, which is going to be extremely interesting. Not nervous for that at all. But yeah, hello everyone, welcome to Wandering In. It's nice to have you back, or to have you here for the first time. I will run through the intro that I always do, which is always good. I'm Sheepdog. I run the Wandering In. And we do TTRPG shows, actual plays. What else are they called? Roleplay shows. They're probably more roleplay shows than TTRPG shows at this point. There's a lot more roleplay and show in it than game. If you're interested in supporting, there is the Patreon. If you like the shows, the more support, the more pledges I get on Patreon, the more I can pay more casts, the more shows I can do, and the more I can do shows. That's it, basically. Go check out the Discord if you're interested. Go check out Twitter if you still use Twitter. I barely do, so I wouldn't judge you for not doing it either. But there is a lot of information on the Discord, a show schedule. You can chat with people about dragons or post dragon gifts, which is mostly what happens in the Discord, or for the Dragon Riders part at least. Past that, there's links to everyone in this show down below, and if you're on the YouTube video, also down below, except you have to click the description and go follow them there. But I heartily suggest giving them all a look. They're all a lot of fun, and you'll find out more about them in the outro. So stick around till at least then. It's only a couple of hours, it's fine. Past that, the updates that need to be given are... there will be a video coming out on my YouTube reasonably soon. If you watch the videos there. It's just basically a channel update, giving you an idea of like where I'm headed, where the channel's headed, and what I want to do with this year. So the patrons have had that for like a couple of weeks. I put that out at the beginning of January, but I figure I'm going to release it to everyone because why not keep everyone up to date with what I'm doing? Past that, Dragon Riders, if anyone doesn't know, technically speaking, I should probably have been doing this every single episode, but, you know, I'll just do it randomly on episode 3, why not? Dragon Riders is a show, a system, a setting that I completely made from scratch. I wrote the rules, they're pretty simple. I wrote the lore, that's a bit less simple. And I recruited the cast, and they're the least simple. Believe you me. How am I doing, Tash?
I think you're doing pretty well, actually.
Okay, yeah?
Yeah, like...
I'd agree, yeah.
Compared to
Pretty
usual,
impressed.
a bit better? Cool. But having said that, that's probably the entirety of what I need to do for the intro, so let's go into a recap before we get into the show. So, last week... Oh, I'm going to fail on last week really hard. Last week we had the group start off together and just... And... No, we didn't. We had Ardor. Yes, okay. Ardor ran into a dragon rider who had a pink dragon. It was equipped on him and de-equipped to have essentially not really a conversation, but more of a not really a confrontation, more of a conversation about what's been happening, what he plans to do. His name was Aradan Trueshield, and I believe his dragon was called Chardrock. They had decided that because their pod is either dead or missing, along with their master, that they would retreat into the southern mountain range, into the frozen wastes, and essentially hide out there. Maybe do a bit of light monster culling, a job that the riders always had, but essentially withdraw from the general continent of Liss itself and not get involved in anything that's going on. Along with there being a few little rumors of dragon riders up near Cargilia, and just general movements and those type of thing. Once they finished talking to him and his dragon left and disappeared off towards the south. They then decided to go and track down a merchant who was just traveling down a road. When you're up in the air flying on dragon, it's not super difficult to find people who are just out in the open. They found him, managed to convince him that they weren't there to rob him, and got a bit more information. Mostly the political situation being that Cargilia is trying to, I think, gather the support of all the other surrounding important cities. They've contracted Lowhold to build weapons for them, as have a couple of other places, and are just generally looking to be the leader in this area now that the protection of the Dragon Riders has disappeared. We're not really sure what exactly the intentions are there. Are they good or are they bad? But the doubtful looks that Tash is currently throwing can tell you what some people think. Past that, there are ongoing attempts to excavate and search through the debris of Harrowhold, which are being undertaken by Liberalia and Talion. Garruk is currently, along with Sunswept and Lowhold, a bit more aligned with Cargilia, and Frontier has basically isolated itself, pointed pointy sticks out at everything outside and gone, don't come near us or we'll poke you with our sticks. So, once that happened and they were given cake, Perry decided to head up to Lowhold to check in with his people and also do a little bit of recce scouting, information gathering. Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out. So that's where we left off last time. We will begin back in the swamp with Cassandra, Rithera, Argent, and Incensia. As over the course of a little time, maybe a day and a half, you have had a conversation with Ultra, and she has decided to go with Ardor to scout over the Steel Spine into Central Liss to do some again, recon, information gathering, try and find out what's happening over there. So she said she'd be gone for a few days and just try and find out what she can. She is also, and this would be if Rithera asked, she can also check with Peak and drop in there and basically check that everything's okay if Rithera asked her to. So
I think she would say do maybe a far away drive by.
Yeah.
Again, she doesn't Ruthera really doesn't want to draw attention to Peak at all if she can.
Okay.
So, you know, if anything looks amiss or she hears anything amiss, to go check in would be, but
All right.
keeping them safe is number one priority.
Yeah. I'm going to start with a collective roll, interestingly enough. And it's going to be for the two Dragon Rider combos that we have, which is Incensia and Rithera, Argent and Cassandra. Could I get a power from the dragons, and could I get a resolve from the riders, please?
Anything for tags?
This is kind of long-term observational. So if you have anything that helps you with the general swamp area or nature, like foraging would be useful, hunting could be useful.
You said swamp area. Would aquatic be helpful in this context?
Aquatic in this context would be, yes.
Okay, all right.
I've got hunting as well.
1.
It's a 2.
Oh.
Oh, it's a 2 because it's 7 normally, but with the tag, it's okay. Thank you.
And
Nothing.
for the riders, what did you need? Sorry?
Result.
Resolve.
Resolve for the riders. Okay. I would say that on top, so for Rithera, you had one tag that you used already.
Mm-hmm.
What was the tag? Sorry, it was.
I used hunting.
Hunting, yes. I would say also, given her upbringing, just generally as a very individualistic and living much more in nature than the other two, and the dragons as well. Sorry, dragons, but you did kind of grow up quite sheltered. I'm going to say that another tag, essentially to lower the success gate here, would apply, which is just essentially you're more attuned to, you know, the natural environments as opposed to cities and towns and etc. or giant dragon roosts. So that will be 2 successes for Rithera, 2 for Cassandra, 2 for Incensia, and for Argent, 2.
2.
Okay. That's a lot of 2s. I would say then collectively you have noticed things. Rithera, you have noticed the slow growth of trees, but it's slow in the sense of, like, you know, they have grown a lot more recently than they usually, you know, you don't notice trees growing, essentially. You've noticed the trees growing.
Okay.
For Cassandra, probably you've seen a certain larger size of the fish that Argent have brought back. More and more they've been a bit larger, they've been a bit more you know, kind of like expanded in size. And for Argent, actually, you've noticed the darkening of the swamp. Where the waters would clear out at certain areas, you know, be a bit. Obviously, the top of the swamp is very murky, very mired. The entirety of the swamp now is not only murky; it's almost starting to blacken in areas.
Like the water is dying, rather like DYE. like ink sort of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
like that kind
maybe.
of like, or is it like more silt and soot sort of thing?
No, it appears to be more dying in
Got it.
terms of
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have-
just making sure.
I have gathering as well. Does that give me a little?
Sure, yeah. I would say that in Cinzia, again, she tends to do a reasonable amount of hunting. She's probably noticed that the
That's gathering for Cassandra.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't touch on Incinzia yet, though. So.
Okay, there's.
Yeah. So Incinzia's noticed a increase in the size of the wildlife. There's less of it because you guys are around here, you know, for a few weeks. But the wildlife that's left has seemed to gain in size and in bulk. For the bushes, for the grass around the swamp on the edges and on the islands that are potted all over the place, the grass has darkened, and the trees and the leaves as well have started to take on a more shadowy, dark tint to them. This has been something you've probably all been like, maybe, but over the past, like, maybe 3 or 4 days, it's started to become something you can't really wave off as, like, maybe this is just, you know, it's noticeable now. So, with that in mind, is there anything that you'd like to discuss or to do as we set off?
So Cassandra was quite strict with Perry in that he had to write as a letter.
Yeah.
Within like a day.
Okay.
Perry was like 2 days, and Cassandra's like, no, 1 day. So I think my plan will be that I'll be going to get that today. I think we said to leave it in Talion.
Yes.
So I would have let, obviously, Rithera know.
Yeah.
And everything.
All right. How comfortable is Rithera being here, being at the camp by herself? Well, she'll have Incinzia.
Yeah. And she would be more than happy. She does enjoy being alone and having quiet time. And so she'd probably just go about probably cleaning up hunting, like prepping food, prepping the packs, like prepping, working on the dried meats and stuff, and just keeping herself busy.
Making a packed lunch for Cassandra.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, through the course of your regular days, I assume Argent does a little bit of fishing. You're all kind of like by the entrance to the cave, and obviously that's where the eggs are stashed, just for kind of like general. I will say that Argent, you notice this. Probably Incinzia and Rithera notice this as well. Cassandra, I'm not too sure. Use your best judgment. And Incinzia, it'll depend whether she's out hunting or whether she's kind of like laid down at the cave entrance. There are tremors. Probably 2, once reasonably early in the morning as dawn is breaking, and once later in the kind of like early afternoon. I can't say it's a earthquake, because those aren't particularly common around here, although sometimes in the mountains. But there is a maybe 2 or 3 second tremoring of the ground.
I think normally Incinzia does the night tour, so I would have been crashed out, especially like in the morning. In the afternoon, I've probably been away. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go check, probably, knowing what Perry built and having some little understanding of just, I would probably want to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
Did it feel centralized to the area with eggs, or did it, like, were we spread out enough that we noticed it in different locations?
I would say it will depend. Argent, you feel this
Yeah.
in the swamp, in the water.
Okay. Yeah.
So it depends on whether Argent is like ignores and carries on, whether he comes back. Like, what's your...
Argent would definitely have come back if
Okay.
there's something amiss, and probably is like not sure about the water unless like probably watching it a couple of days to see if it keeps darkening, if it gets to a point and stops. Like there's something off, obviously. Does the water continue to get darker, or is it just kind of like that one notice? How gradual was it?
It has started to get darker. I'm assuming Argent goes kind of around the swamp a fair distance.
Yeah, to investigate. Yeah, exactly. See if he can find a source of it. Like, is there, some sort of dye or blood or something leaking into the swamp?
It appears... It's hard to tell. It appears to have originated from a fairly western point. Not all the way. If you want to go all the way down, you can. But it appears to have kind of been spreading out from a fairly large area towards the west from where your cave is.
In the swamp still, though?
In the swamp, yeah.
If Argent doesn't have to leave the swamp, Argent, yeah, I would 100% be going and investigating that.
Just the whole swamp area, basically.
Kind of taking time before coming back.
Inside or outside the water?
Inside the water until it gets closer to the origin, and then maybe outside, depending on if it looks like something is leaking into the water or if it's originating in the water.
Okay.
Or if there's no visibility, if it keeps getting darker, then getting out of the water.
You do get to a point where there's no visibility anymore.
Yep.
There's kind of it's not... I would say it's a few hundred meters of swampland that is just essentially completely blackened.
Yeah.
And, inky instead of silty.
That would definitely be the point of, I'd get out of the water. Because if there's no visibility, it's not going to work out.
We'll come back to Argent in a second then. In that case, Rithera, it's unclear as to whether this is centralized, because the rest of you were essentially at the cave entrance and kind of up the hills a little bit. But I will say it didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was centralized. It felt like the kind of small tremors, which is from something that happened further away. Hard to give you more than that.
Okay. I'd probably just check on the structure of check on the eggs, check on everything that was dug out where we've been sleeping and stuff like that, and just kind of do make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, the structure, it wasn't too hard to shake, it was more of a tremor. So the cave itself being well constructed. You can tell that Perry knows what he's doing, and you have you've been helping out, you have a decent ability in that regards too. The eggs are fine, they're essentially however you've stowed them, I would imagine possibly kind of I doubt in a backpack, but maybe in some kind of wrapped up and kind of stowed away together. And yeah, you have an Incinzia is
hovering over there essentially. She's going in the cave
yeah.
What if it collapses on you?
How dare you? You'd hear Perry's voice echo from the distance.
Feel your doubt.
Do you have anything you'd like to kind of do past that, or is that going to be the... Because
it's just, I think it would be also if I've experienced something like this in my life up in the mountains.
Yeah. Sometimes.
I would just make sure everything's kind of okay. Keeping my eye out, having that sense of something's not right and it's continuing to not be right, but there's no immediate danger. So just keeping kind of always having one eye looking behind me. around,
Okay.
just extra alert.
And Incensia's just
Hovering, but
hanging on.
I think I might have a quick loop around very
Loop
close
around?
to the camp, make sure that nothing's snuck in. Just very paranoid. Just having a nap.
Yeah, and then there's again. It like I'll say, Rithera has experienced more severe earthquakes and things like that up on the Steel Spine. I mean, that's how they were originally formed. Was tectonic shifts and whatnot. But this was kind of like a tremor and then gone. It's a little concerning given the weird changes in the swamp, but it passes really quickly. Of more concern, I would say, would probably be for Argent. So we'll shift back over to Argent.
Yes.
And we will rejoin him as he is sliding out of the swamp. And as you slide out of the swamp and onto kind of like more solid ground, it's grass, there's some trees, etc. I'm assuming you're going out onto the bank as opposed to one of the little island places, because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better visibility, that sort of thing.
Okay. You are close to the western end of the swamp, which essentially the swampland and the water and everything goes directly against the mountains, pretty much.
Yeah. So I'm approaching the mountains at this point. Okay.
You're also you're also in the area where the tree is. If you remember the tree.
Yes, the white, hardened, I can't remember the name of it, but the dragon tree, essentially.
Yeah. Except for the tree is no longer white. It is grey, moving towards charcoal. And the ground and the roots around it are also blackened or crumbling.
Ooh.
A few of the charms you saw on the trees have fallen off because of the weight, which implies that the tree is now extremely brittle.
Arjun will go and kind of fly over and grab one of the broken branches and try to rush back to the rest of the camp.
Okay.
Arjun has some ideas, but wants to talk to Cassandra first.
All right. Yeah, you grab one of the branches, easy enough, and you head back to the camp and land down there.
Cassandra?
Sergeant.
There is a problem.
Okay. What's the matter? What's going on?
The tree is dying.
What tree?
Do you remember the name of that sheepy, or can remind me, I should say?
Think, oh god, I might be severely wrong here. I think it's the Dragonbone tree.
I think that actually sounds right. That sounds familiar enough.
I don't know if I know about this.
Perry did, but
it's something that Perry would have told you about.
Okay.
Unless you think Perry wouldn't have.
Perry talks a lot. I'm sure he did.
The Dragonbone tree. It's the source of why the water is blackened.
Are you sure?
Yes. It is dying. It was bone white. It is gray and black now. Branches are falling off, and
drops one of the dead branches.
I have an idea, though. We might be able to delay its death. The swamp
Okay.
may be dying, though.
What's your idea?
I can alter properties. I might be able to heal some of the ground.
Yes, perhaps we
It's a risk. It might not work. It might make things worse.
can't be much worse than it dying, Argent.
Perhaps.
But are we sure that's the source, or is it also being affected by whatever the source
It
is?
seems to be the source, but it may not have been what caused the problem.
And I'm like turning this broken branch over and kind of having a look at it and see if we've got anything out. Then shall we?
Please.
Rethera, we're yes, obviously, like Rethera's there.
I've
I
been-
imagine? Yeah.
I'm there. I try not to eavesdrop if I can help, unless like included in the conversation. So
Rethera, Argent and I are going to attempt to heal a tree. The dragonbone tree that Perry told us of.
yes.
It either is the source or it's being affected by what is happening to the plant life and animals around.
I'm also going to have a control. Could I have a control from Cassandra and a resolve from Argent, please?
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
research. This is knowledge. This is lore. It will basically be whether you remember reading anything.
Reading and writing is a tag I have.
It is.
Dragon law? Dragon care?
Dragon lore would work, yes. So that
Okay.
would be 5s for both of you so far. If you have any other tags, you can lower it further.
No, none of this. I don't think tactics or dragon tactics or enhancement would apply here.
I would actually say in this instance, I will allow enhancement.
Oh, okay.
Just purely because, which
Well,
didn't matter anyway because
It didn't matter, but that was good to know.
So that's 4 and 3. Like, yes, absolutely. And this is a combined roll, obviously. So you're kind of working together to get this. Always makes you more stronger. When Perry told you about this, judging by the rolls, you took a lot of interest in it and went into the annals of history of the Dragon Riders. At the onset of the war, there was a legend about something called the Lurker. The Lurker was a beast of some kind, an ancient, let's call it monster for the sake of argument, that resided in the swamp. It was also known as a corruptor or as a Maya. It caused I wouldn't say exactly mutation, but it caused animals and plant life, flora and fauna to grow, to become more aggressive, to become more monstrous in themselves.
Corruption, if anything.
A corruption would be a decent way to describe it. The swamp itself was somewhere where no one, even in the Empire, would go. At one point, there was an expedition led by a favored general to the king. Around 10,000 men were sent into the swamp, and only 5 came back. However, on the onset of the Dragon Riders and the fall of the Empire, a pod of 5 dragons and their riders came to the swamp, and from what you can tell from the histories, it doesn't go into much detail, but they sealed the Lurker.
Okay. And I'm sort of getting the impression that this is what's happening again, right?
there is a very good chance that with the fall of the Riders and the rise of Desolation, a very influential and strong magical being, some things have been stirred up. It, according to the laws and histories you've read, it's not uncommon for a large magical being such as what Desolation was to stir up more ancient and powerful things.
Okay. Argent, are you thinking what I'm thinking of? The
Yes, I do think so now that we've thought on it more. Lurker? Yes.
Yes. I think we should have to investigate before it gets worse for everyone.
Yes.
The lurker?
Also known as the Maya, a almost mythological story of a corrupting creature in the swamp, and it was not a weak entity.
The tremors that we felt.
And
Perhaps
the changing of the plant and animal life and waterways.
The seal may be broken or breaking.
Do you think you need backup, or would you for me to
It
stay here?
It would be wise, I think.
Yes, I imagine so. A pot of 5 sealed it. In the histories.
If it is not broken completely, we may be able to aid it or slow it for the time being. I may be able to help the tree a bit to slow its death as well.
Well, hopefully, once we seal it, the swamp would begin to heal again.
Yes, but if we cannot seal it, I could at least attempt to slow it until we can.
Yes. And I'll kind of just give Rithera like as much information about it as I can.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Rithera?
Stopping it, doing what we can, I think, is our main course of action. My only fear is if this doesn't work, are we speeding up the process? Are we angering or breaking the seal more?
I do not think so, but we do not know until we check it.
Okay.
The least we should do is investigate.
Investigate. Absolutely.
It will likely break regardless of our intervention, so attempting it, even if it is sooner, it would just be causing the inevitable.
Okay. I'll grab everything and let's go.
Right.
And I am like extra gearing up.
Noted. So you all gather your stuff. You want to take the eggs with you? Just kind of sling them in a bag.
I don't know if Rithera and Cassandra have talked about together how they want to handle the eggs and if we feel comfortable leaving them. I know that like what Perry did definitely leaves them protected.
Yeah.
But as a like protecting them as the future of creating
I'm wondering
dragon riders again, if we feel comfortable leaving them.
I'm wondering I'm not saying that they're in danger. I'm saying, are your characters comfortable leaving them by themselves?
And I imagine it's a conversation, if we haven't had it yet, Rithera would want to have
it now. Yeah.
So the eggs, taking them with us. Let's staying here.
I would prefer to have them with us. Although Ultra did point out if we were to fall, they would go to someone else. But then, if we were to fall, then someone could still find them.
You're hidden here, though.
I think
Barry did a very good job to make sure that they are protected.
and Ultra and Perry know where they are.
Yes. So if we fall,
well, let's plan to not do that.
no, definitely, absolutely, we are not. But we are stronger than that even being an option. But this isn't going to be the first time we have to make this decision. So making a decision that blankets many choices from here on out.
I'm loath to leave them, but I think they are possibly safest where they are.
If we need to go further, if we need to go further from the swamp from where we are, taking them with us sounds a good plan. But I think for now, they're safe knowing that the others can come back as well.
Yes. Okay, let's leave a note, shall we?
Yes.
I'm just like,
You
scribbling a note, like,
writing.
yeah. So if we die, like, this is what's happening. We think we're gonna go look. Right. Are you ready?
Ready? Here's your extra visions if needed.
Thank you. Yes, Perry did keep giving ours away. Right. Let's. Shall we start at the tree and then hunt it from there?
Yes,
Well,
I do not know where it was from the tree's location.
We will follow your lead as
We'll find it from the tree. That's fine.
we'll find what's wrong, absolutely. But I think in Cynthia, we definitely should approach this with caution, as it's not something that we are familiar with or have even had any training or understanding on, and jumping in at first.
Nor have they. They read
I
about
see.
it.
But
We must take caution. We do not know how this thing works.
Of course, I'd be cautious, Sergeant.
Argent nods a little curtly.
Mm-hmm. Past few days, maybe coloring his view a little bit on how cautious and sincere is.
I think Rethera's also feeling that too. And I'm potentially a little frustrated with the fact that I feel like I can still not get Cynthia under control or to understand caution or safety.
Is there a little bit of trepidation as well, just purely because of the last conversation you had about, like, the pod and your relationship,
like going and leaving everybody away. Yeah, probably. It probably still is not resolved. Probably. We are both very stubborn.
Yes.
I was thinking if you push, it's you probably don't want to push.
Be an interesting conversation for the future.
Oh.
Okay. In that case, both Rethera, Cassandra, you jump on your dragons, you kick off, glide down towards the western edge of the swamp. Essentially, not the. I'm assuming you don't want to go immediately into the water island area, and more to the edge of the swamp where it starts to become forest and trees, and essentially, as you get closer, the area, I'm going to call it a wound. The area of blackness, the wound has especially from the sky, you can see it's dyed the grass and everything around the edge of the swamp as well. And some of the trees are a little bit larger, a little bit darker. Some of them would have been kind of light brown, chestnutty, some even white, and they're all kind of slowly going into that darker brown, like that kind of way. As you land, there is not anything tangible that you can sense. I would say both dragons have a small... I'd say the last time you probably felt this way, it's different, but you can kind of attach a familiarity to it, was when you went to that deserted village. Well, there was one person there. It's not the same, but it has a little taste in the air that's the same.
Kind of similar corruption magic.
More
Tangentially.
potency, I would say. It doesn't have the same feeling of like something's wrong exactly. It just feels dangerous.
More natural in that sense.
More natural.
Okay.
And you see the darkness spreading. Well, it's not visibly spreading, but you can see the spread of it. You can see the tree, which is blackened and darker.
Is it the dragonbone tree like in the center where like?
It's in the center of this big area of swamp.
Right.
The tree itself hasn't yet been touched by the darkness that's spreading out.
Yes, it's not like in the center of like the wound.
No.
It's okay.
But it's on the very edge next to the mountains, kind of in this open area of water, and very tempted to say there's a crocodile impaled with an icicle still floating around, but that would be gone by now.
Been there for almost a year. It's totally fine.
So this is to Rothera as well. Like, so I think that we have found it.
Definitely something's amiss.
Yes.
Does it to both Cassandra and I? Can we feel that sense of eerie? Like, I don't want to, dread might not be the right thing, but eerie, like almost. I thought of it as like too much static in the air, like it makes everything kind of like prickly.
Wrongness, almost.
Yeah.
I would say through your dragons you feel a sensation,
Okay.
but your own senses really don't pick up much at all. You more feel the reaction of your dragons, like how they kind of are a bit set on edge, a bit tense.
Well, this definitely doesn't look good.
No.
No. Not sure how they sealed it to make any recommendations.
What broke it?
Possibly the release of, well, old magics.
It has been known to happen when there has been a strong shift or change, and I would say desolation is possibly a good change.
I could
Yes.
attempt to change some of the soil around the tree to prolong its life while we try to fix this. If there's something wrong with the soil itself, I could potentially change its chemical makeup so it is still soil but maybe healthier. It's a reach, I'm aware.
Oh, we can try. If you'll, watch with her.
Yes. I was just trying to think if there was anything that we can do to help, but I don't. We will keep watch and scout and protect.
Look for any particular signs of a beast that may be doing this, or a lair or something where they would have hidden the seal.
Watching.
And I imagine we kind of float to the island.
Yeah. It'd be like kind of skimming above the water, but not touching it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
As you get to the island, I assume you want to. Where are you going here? You going in the grass? You going in the tree? The branches, etc.
Kind of floating around the tree, like circling it a bit, not wanting to land on the corrupted ground.
Okay. All right. In that case, my question will be, what is your approach here?
Yeah, so what Argent was thinking, and we'll kind of give the feeling to Cassandra and or just explain it, is the corruption is clearly like affecting the ground and whatever it touches. So trying to essentially reverse it, since silver dragons can kind of enhance or change the nature of something. Not its proper, like its physical shape, kind of like tourmaline would do, or like its state, but rather keeping its soil and trying to maybe either sense what has changed in the soil and change it to something healthy. Trying to make the soil healthy and fertile.
Yeah, Argent's ability, as you said, is the ability to sense and change, and to boost or to, if you wanted, to minimize. So when it comes to your fellow dragons and the riders and the things they do, you can take the nature of their abilities and you can add to it, you can bolster it, or if you want to, you can detract from it, you can minimize it. Very useful when working with others, or if you're, essentially in combat with another dragon rider, which hasn't happened yet, thankfully. But Argent and all silver dragons have, their ability isn't just limited to dragons and their abilities. It is more centered in magic in general. So, if you'd like, you can check this out, see if you can find anything of note, and proceed from there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's kind of pretty much exactly what Argent was thinking, since it's magically corrupting, so might be able to reverse it or minimize it or slow it or something.
So this will require a resolve from Cassandra and a power from Argent.
All right.
This is magical nature spells, investigative, it's scholarly. There's a lot here that you can probably
okay,
tag.
so we're not doing the changing yet. We're trying to find like one of the spots. Okay.
Yeah.
Would reading and writing for the scholarly help, like knowing kind of the lore of the corruption?
I would say yes. Your research that you've done in the past will come into play.
Okay.
So
And I also have dragon law, so.
you have dragon lore. Okay. So that's 3 for Cassandra and 4 for Perry. Oh, sorry, for Argent. Perry drops from the sky. I have a solution.
Problem
It's
solving!
the tree. He knows where it is.
So, as you investigate the area, the grass, the tree, the corrupting influence, that you can start to get a kind of taste for it. Like, corruption is a rough word for what this is and what's happening in this area. The swamp, the trees, the plant life, the animals don't appear to be being corrupted. It's a good word because they're changing, but it's almost like they're being bolstered or enhanced. by something primal and natural, kind of like how as magma flows over a landscape, it changes it. Not for the better, but it's a very primal thing. The tree itself, you can see as you investigate that it has the lingering, slowly dissipating elements of what I would call a combined spell or combined kind of like seal. It has been broken, and it is slowly degrading and dissipating. Essentially, you can make the assumption that whatever broke it, or however it broke, that has been slowly releasing this kind of like natural power or whatever. If I was to give you, you guys rolled well. I will give you some further like theories and thoughts. It's very, very likely that the lurker itself was sealed somewhere away after being defeated because it couldn't be killed. Or they did not find a way to kill it, so they sealed it instead. They planted this tree out of the bones of dragons and melded and molded it to stand as a seal against the return. More than likely, somehow that seal has been dissipated and broken, and now the power is seeping back out, and most likely those tremors you've been feeling is the reawakening of the lurker. What that means is that unless the seal could be restored, which I will tell you, you have currently do not have an idea of how to do that. The best that you can manage to do currently is to access the spell, the seal itself, and slow that degradation down.
So slowing it down was the degradation was the thought.
The spell on the tree is the seal. I could slow down the degradation, but perhaps after that, we can't fix the seal, but I wonder if I could strengthen what little left there is with an enhancement. It
Yes,
wouldn't
I
be
think-
perfect, but it could help.
May give us some time to figure
Yes.
out.
But slowing the degradation is the first step regardless. I don't know if my enhancements are strong enough yet.
You should be confident in it.
It is old magic. I am confident in what I can do.
I think that's fair. Let's give it a go, shall we?
Yes.
And I would love to channel some of my power into slowing the degradation, trying to bolster a bit of the seal's protections, so even though it's failing, it's kind of like putting more sand up against the sand castle to try to like a moat around it so the water goes in as the tide comes in, just to slow it a little bit.
Okay. This will be a power from you, Argent, and a control from you, Cassandra. And this will be essentially using your power, controlling the power, and initiating it.
And I do have an enhancement tag.
You do have an enhancement tag, so that will be 5s for you.
That is 5 successes
Well-
then.
That is 5 successes.
Here we go.
That is 2 successes from Cassandra.
I'll get one from Ryder. Like,
Okay. So, Argent, you reach out your senses to the tree, to the seal, to the thing that makes up the entirety of what has been sealing this thing here. You channel your power and send it through to Cassandra. Cassandra, you take that power and you start, both of you, working your will on this seal. Essentially, the goal is to stop the degradation or slow it down at best, and to enhance the protection that has been given to this area via the seal. What this would essentially do would be, it would slow down the breaking of the seal, and it would slow down the spread or contain the spread of this, let's call it corruption for the sake of argument. Cassandra, the power is a lot. You are still working to utilize the power that Argent has, which is quite considerable. And this, I would imagine, is bolstered a bit by Argent's urgency to and concern to get this sealed up. With the power that kind of builds behind your eyeballs, struggling for release, you manage to adjust the decay of the seal. A lot of the power kind of escapes through your mind, escapes through your fingers as you're trying to mold it, and the flow of power ceases abruptly. Because Argent, you find, as you're channeling the power, you find a thread. And it's something that worms its way into your mind, and essentially you feel your consciousness flung across over the mountains, out away to the west, and essentially over, it's hard to describe your your consciousness, but you essentially feel flung, and you see mountains fly past you. You see green lush forests turn into white, more bare and more dead snowy forest, until, as you keep going, you find yourself looking at a giant, bare, white tree. About, it's hard to tell, let's say 500 meters tall. Bone white and completely bare of leaves or anything like that, much like how the tree was described to you. And
it looks like this tree, but bigger.
And as you stare at it, part of the tree unwraps itself and slithers down towards you. You realize that it appears to be, I can't say it's a similar being to you, but it's not a Longron, but it looks similar. Pure white and very reptilian, as it slides down the tree and it comes to a rest at the base of the tree. Its face and its eyes stare at you for a moment until you're flung back and come back to appears to have only been like a second or two. The power has ceased, and Cassandra, you're probably a little bit concerned.
Claire, or quick question about that.
Yeah.
If I had any senses while I was over in that kind of ethereal version of myself, did I sense the corruption coming from that being, or was that like basically Arjun's trying to figure out, is that part of the seal, like a magical entity that has been used to seal, or is that Meyer, the lurker? I can make a roll for it too if you'd like.
Your roll was exceedingly good, which is why this happened, which will give you a little bit of information as to what you just experienced. Because your power you manifest was so intense, you essentially followed the thread of magic, the origination of the magic, to its, let's call it, progenitor. So whatever you just saw is whatever set that seal in place.
Okay. Yep. That's kind of what I was suspecting, since it was white and not, corrupting darkness.
I can't really give you a location, but what I can say to you is you noticed that it was extremely snowy, very heavily forested, and a long way away.
I would be okay if you, I think it would be resolve roll, for reading writing, if I've seen a map to the west to get a more direct idea in my memory real quick.
Sure. Give me. Yeah, I would say resolve would be the one to go with.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Okay. And then I do have reading and writing.
Okay, so 5s. 2 successes. Definitely to the south. Definitely over the steel spine. To pinpoint it would be difficult, but what I can say is from the histories you've read, that direction takes you into the deep roots.
Yeah.
And in the deep roots forest, not even the dragon riders go in there, because the forest becomes extremely primal and extremely hostile. Think, trees coming alive and tearing things apart, kind of thing.
Fangorn kind of idea. Yeah. Okay. But a 500-foot tree might stick out, so might not have to go in it until we find the thing.
The trees get pretty big in there too, but I imagine it would be.
Might be a little higher, but it's still not like you'd have to search for it before. Okay.
And it's a big area.
Yeah. So maybe after that this all takes place in a few seconds, and Cassandra knows something was wrong or different there.
I'm like hitting you almost like Argent. Like, what?
Hmm.
You okay? What's going on? Hello?
I know roughly where the seal is. It is not here. It's to the west.
Okay, but are you all right?
I think so, yes. That was not the lurker that did that, but echo of whatever dragon did this and sealed.
How what happened?
I tapped into the old magics. I think it is in the deep roots. It is far to the west. White trees, tall, old forest, dangerous.
And you felt, do you feel we need to go there to seal? Do we need to seal this mire away?
I think it would spread throughout the land if not.
Well, let's regroup and not be here. We've done what we can for now. Are you Sure you're
I'm
all
alright. Yes. Yes, it was not a bad power, just disorienting.
The seal itself is still dissipating. It's been slowed, so it will disappear slower. Additionally, the corruption is not what caused it to break. So the corruption doesn't have an effect on the tree itself or anything, as from what you can tell from what you've looked at.
Yeah.
I will also say additionally, even though Arjun didn't say it, I apologize, Cassandra, but the thought and the knowledge that you'll have is essentially the lack of control there led to an unintended consequence for the power that was basically provided by Argent. Essentially, the huge swell of power that you kind of couldn't keep under control caused Argent to identify and accidentally follow the thread of creation back to its source. So, like, the seal's here, and the seal is degrading. Whatever made the seal, whatever powered and set the seal in place, is wherever Argent ended up.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely feel guilty. Like, it's my fault. But it's more like, let's get out of here right now. And then we'll wallow in that. So I imagine we kind of probably head back to camp, or like
Or
back
head
to
back to
Rethera
where-
first.
Yeah, with Thera and Cynthia.
Right. Well, Argent did a brilliant job in working on it, and it will now degrade slower.
It is not fixed, though.
No.
So we need a plan.
I know where the original power for the seal came from, roughly. It is a traveling. It is an expedition. It would be good to have all of us together if we did that.
Okay. That is a promising piece of information to have, though.
Very dangerous.
We
That's
can
okay.
stay here forever.
Yes, we're not living in the swamp.
You do not
Back
like the swamp.
to fish, I think is more.
It's again, it's not that I don't appreciate fish, but we are not living up to our potential, Agent, as well you know. Cannot live in a swamp forever.
Let's head back to camp and we can figure out a plan.
Yes.
As you all, as the riders jump back on their dragons and head back up towards the camp, I think all four of you would have a similar thought or train of thought or spark of trepidation, essentially along the lines of, if this is happening here at essentially a primal point in Lais, is it possible that other places of primal power are experiencing similar things? And we will leave the riders and dragons as they fly back to camp, fade out on them, and fade back in. Further north at a grand opening, looking at a mountain. Perry,
Yes.
To start off, you have been received warmly enough by the guards on the gate of Lowhold. Once they got over their shock and a little bit of, stay there, we have to run inside, we have to talk to everyone, and etc. I'm assuming Perry doesn't particularly, push his way in or
No, he waits. He kind of knows there's procedure to the whole thing.
Essentially, does he ask to speak to anyone, or is it just kind of like, I am here?
He would probably have let them know he wants to speak to some of like the council, of elders, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Though he would have at this point kind of asked Tourmaline to maybe go up on top of the mountain and chill up there to not cause problems.
Yeah. I was going to say, when the guards come back out, the first thing they offer is the hospitality of the mountain to your dragon, which is essentially, hey, would you like to go up there and eat some sheep? There are sheep up there. Or, rams and etc.
Yep.
Goats, that's the thing.
Yes, yeah.
Lots of mountain goats up there. I was also wondering whether Perry would have turned up and gone like, hey, I'd like to speak to Martella, please. But I guess, probably that's a bit too low ranked for his intentions. In that case, when they come out and, they offer Tourmaline heads up to the mountains, and you are brought in, initially you suspect that you're going to be brought in and kind of brought before the overseers, the mining kind of guilds and clans, the families that run the mines. You are, however, brought to someone you've heard of but never seen before, which is the mayor of Lowhold. Currently, that is Hazel Shale. She was elected about a year ago and is up for re-election in the next year, probably starting in about 9 months. It's a pretty simple thing. The entirety of Lowhold turns up, casts a vote for whoever they think should be in charge. Generally, it's a whole group of people who don't want to be in charge because they have better things to do than run the entire bloody place, and whoever gets elected is essentially forced into a position of control.
I'd let my cat in, sorry.
Oh, no problem. A cat wanders into the office.
That it does. Random encounter. Okay, yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So you find yourself brought before her. And
Before Hazel Shale, the mayor.
Before Hazel Shale.
But not a giant group of people like I was expecting. Okay.
No, you're not, interestingly enough, you're not super familiar with the political system of Lowhold. You have a vague idea of like councillors and overseers, and you interacted a lot with the matron and with the mining overseers. Some of the heads of clans you'll have seen. You probably never seen the mayor, who essentially ushers you in and says, "Oh, come, sit, yes, okay, so all right, now, is it true that you are a rider?"
Yeah, I was sent to go be a rider last year. Yes.
Yes, I have it here. It says Quartz. Is your Perry?
Yes, Perry Quartz,
Yes.
the Quartz family,
Yes.
some of the head miners. in the courts area.
Of course, it's always a large honor when one of our own is chosen to be a rider. But I didn't even think we had any surviving. Oh, what brings you here, Mr. Quartz?
Well, we were actually trying to get a message to someone at the, what was it, the big meeting with everybody in Cargilia, and I was trying to see if we had, I figured we hadn't sent out our envoy yet. Is that correct?
We've been trying to delay committing to a course of action. We were hoping that they would just want us to provide some arms, some crafts, and things that are much needed. However, they have been very insistent in wanting our in our allegiance, in our joining of them. They're trying to form a coalition.
Yeah. Yes, I thought so. So yeah, I kind of figured we hadn't sent somebody yet, which is why I was here, because I wanted to get a letter out, because we were trying to contact somebody there, but they don't really like dragon riders so much. So
it depends on the riders, I think.
Yeah, we talked to some people. If we had showed up there, we would have been arrested. They may have tried to conscript us, and we didn't really want that.
Understandable. Although it is going to be an interesting development now that you are here. I could... Excuse me if I'm being rude, but you are fairly new, yes? Your dragon hatched for you last year?
Yeah,
do you perhaps, is your master still with you? Are they...
No, he died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Our whole pod survived, so that was good. We've been doing what we can.
So there are, and she like looks down at her notes and scrabbles through and says, "Sorry, how many of you?"
Not to be... I haven't talked to you before. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to talk to some of the council. Are they still functioning?
Yes, but they run the day-to-day everything. You're... Without putting too fine a point on it, you're a little bit too important to be talking to the foremans and the...
I mean, I know them. I was kind of hoping to say hi too.
Well, I'm sure if you'd like to pay a visit, you can.
Oh, okay, all right.
However, we're here for matters of state right now. And,
oh, yeah, right, of course. Anyway, there are a few of us still.
Of course. Can I ask what your intentions are in regards to the current developments in Liss?
Stay alive.
Right.
Try to maybe help out where we can. Not get conscripted and used for, harming other people. Because it seems like that's what some of the cities have been doing, like Cargilia. Maybe not be in the middle of a war. Just kind of trying to help and do what dragon riders were doing beforehand.
And the mayor kind of she's been very tense, and she's been very kind of like worried and fidgety as you go through the list. She kind of relaxes slightly and takes a breath, and I would say her eyes take on a slightly more kind of sad mixed with kind demeanor, and she says, Perry.
Yeah?
I've been sitting here worried that you were here to take over and to use Lowhold as a base of operations for your compatriots.
No. This is family. Why would I do that?
there have been people here since you have made yourself known and arrived who have wanted me to enlist or recruit you to protect Lowhold. With even one dragon rider, we would be able to dictate much in the trappings of power around this area of Lace.
Yeah, that isn't what we would want to do. We kind of want to help as many people as possible, not just Lowhold. We would try to help if you were attacked. I think we would try to stop that, because that's innocents that could be hurt.
In that case, Petty, let me highlight the situation we are currently under.
Okay.
Cargilia is determined to bring all of the cities, the free cities around here, to some form of servitude or vassalization. Now, I suspect that the intention is protection and mutual protection. However, the intentions do not change the facts. I'm doing my best to keep Lowhold neutral in this endeavor. However, we have no standing army, and while we can produce weapons and we can produce gear, lots of it and high quality, we cannot produce warriors just like that. This means I have no ability to resist tyrants. And for the good of my people, if I am pushed too far, I'll be forced to submit. Now, having said that, if a powerful member of Lowhold was to return, perhaps with a dragon and an intent to rule, I would be unable to resist a tyrant, if you understand what I'm saying.
I think I do, and no, I'm not gonna be a king of a mountain.
This is a shame. Because
I don't want to do that, no.
I will be frank with you, Petty. There is absolutely no chance that you can stay in this area and help people and not be dragged into war. You will be forced to commit to a side.
Maybe. So, why I came here, I mentioned, was the envoy. We have a letter to deliver to Gargilia. We can't go there. And I'd have to tell you who we'll be going to, because I have to give you the letter from Cassandra.
I pull out like a letter, still sealed.
I'm not sure who Cassandra is, my boy.
Oh, yeah, so anyway, it's fine. Would she care if I said who she was?
Like Perry's thinking really hard.
She might yell at me when I get back. Okay. Important person. But this letter goes, no, you'd have to know, because I'd have to say who it's from, otherwise they won't take it. It's Cassandra Linden. Linden family.
Yes, I am aware of the Linden family.
This is gonna go to the General of Cargilia. They're friends, and he may not be on their side. This could help you stay neutral.
Well, I appreciate the gesture. Are you sure that your friend would like to go against her family? So...
yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure of that one.
Alright. Well, I can see the letter delivered. Of course, it will mean that I will need to go to the meeting.
Yeah.
And she kind of smiles, like, a little sadly. I don't think it will do much good, I'm afraid.
Can't know unless we try.
Very true.
It's for us to meet with the general and basically maybe subvert what they're doing and try to prevent this dang war.
I will see what I can do.
That's why I came here.
Oh, okay. And you have no interest in assuming any type of leadership role in Lowhold?
I don't want to be king. That's weird and kind of not what we do, I thought.
Times are changing, Perry.
Yeah, but you said tyrant. I don't really want to be a tyrant. That's kind of not what we do. We all work together. I gotta think more. Maybe I'll talk to them. I mean, I could try to help with some of the leadership, but not be a leader.
Would you prefer general?
I don't know how to lead an army. We don't even have an army. What be a general of?
I feel that if a rider came and declared allegiance to Lowhold, many of our people would flock to that banner, and we could
wouldn't that
start
also
training an army.
Wouldn't that put a target on us, especially for Cargilia? If they're trying to unite and then we have an army all of a sudden and a general and a dragon rider, wouldn't they want to attack us first or second?
I'm sure they would consider us more of a threat than they do now. But currently, they would like our submission, and I have no ability to say no. Let me ask you a question, Perry. If the armies of Cargilia start to march, what will you do if you intend to stop them?
Well, that's why we're trying to talk to the general. We want to see if there's a way to potentially, if their general doesn't want to go to war, it's going to cause them, it'll slow them down. And I don't think he wants to go to war. At least that's what Sandra said. I think she said that.
I think you'll find a lot of people are scared and concerned about the security of their homes. In these instances, they will go to much further extremes to stay secure. To give you a little more of an idea, in the last few days, I have heard word that both Garruk and Sunswept have pledged themselves to the meeting and to allegiance to Cargilia. And you may want to pass this on to your friend. Was it Cassandra?
Yes.
You should tell her that her brother has returned to Cargilia and taken up the position of lieutenant under the general that she is trying to contact. They will be leading patrols, and should anyone refuse to go to the meeting, they will send out sorties and eventually armies.
To make sure that you go to the meeting if you choose not to.
The biggest problem of which is that their armies will be supported by mages and by dragon riders.
Do you know how many dragon riders they have?
They have
You knew of one.
They have a master, and I believe they are sending calls out to any disaffected or lone dragon riders to come to join their cause. Additionally, on that, I think I should tell you that they have sent out a few sorties to claim and excavate Harrowhold.
Yeah, we've heard that they've been excavating there. Yeah.
I believe the people who are excavating there before were from Liberalia and Talion, with the intention of restoring what can be saved.
Right.
I do not know what their intention would be, but I'm not so fool as to think that perhaps they want to get their hands on some eggs, if any remain.
Yeah, I bet they would.
And recruit any returning dragon riders who might still be surviving.
Yeah. Talion and Liberalia were rumored to be trying to restore Arrowhead as best they can. Yeah.
I will also tell you that for now I have managed to keep Thrubra closed. However, there have been attempts made by agents of Cargilia to cross through the steel spine however they can in an attempt to reach out to Regalia. With the ties that they have, an alliance or anything among those lines would be essentially tantamount to supreme power in the area.
Yeah. That's good that you've been able to hold that for now. Okay. Do I have to give an immediate answer on the whole general thing? I'd kind of like to talk to my pod about it.
If you'll allow me, let me speak to you as the leader of your people. Harry, your people need you to lead them. Otherwise, we will be subjugated. Let me now speak to you as a member of Lowhold. Harry, we are in a dire situation, and we are not sure how long we can remain neutral, although we will do our best to remain so. And finally, let me get rid of all the trappings of power and speak to you as just a woman who has children of her own. Perry, take your pods and leave. Go and hide somewhere and do not become embroiled in this struggle for power. You should not have to bear the weight of the war that is coming. None of you children should.
Yeah, I think we're too late for that one at least. For things I'm not going to tell you about, because that will make things worse. But yeah, I still need to talk to them because I can't abandon my pod. That I'm going to tell you now. But I do want to help my family, which is everyone here. But I'm also not going to be king. Because that's weird. I don't like it. But I'll think on it, and I will talk to them, and I could probably... I mean, I have a dragon. I can go and see them in a few hours, and then come back in the same day. That's not that hard. They wanted me to leave a letter, just making sure that everything was good, but they wanted it in a day. So if I see them before that day is up, then they'll probably know I'm fine.
I tell you what, I will delay going to Cargilia for a few days. I will claim ill health and an inability to travel. That should give you maximum of 3 days before I will have to leave.
Okay.
Go and talk to your pod. Tell them what is occurring and the dangers of everything surrounding us. I don't think that we should resist Cargilia as things stand.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But we will see how things play out and hope for the best. And do you have a question?
Oh, no, continue. I'm just thinking of ideas.
And I think that for now, you should not have to worry about war or becoming a king or a tyrant.
I'm not going to, because I'm going to talk to my pod first. I did have an idea that could at least help Lowhold regardless. I noticed the gate is, well, it's a gate, but again, we're neutral, so we're not like trying to defend. If we've got enough oars, I could have and work with my dragon to reinforce that gate on the off chance we need to hold out from something.
I like the idea. However, if we do become subjugates, it would make it all the harder for someone coming to liberate us in the future. So I think possibly we should hold off on that.
Oh, if it's just liberation and need my help, I could just make the gate go away.
Such is the power of dragons.
Yeah, kinda.
I tell you what, go and talk to your pod, and when you decide what to do, if you come back, we can do it then.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go, if it's okay, I'm gonna go say hi to the family and see if they need anything. Maybe grab some ore for myself, because I've been kind of short on certain things. And then I will go talk to the pod, and we'll get you a message either way. You won't hear nothing from me. But just in case the delay is longer before you leave, and then Perry hands the letter
Thank
for the
you.
general.
And as you're kind of preparing to get up and go, she says, Perry, and like stands up from her chair, kind of creaks and stuff as she gets up, walks around her desk and over to you, and puts her hand on your shoulder, leans in and kisses the top of your forehead, and says, go with the love of our people.
I leave mine to you.
And he turns and goes and just tries to, chat up his family and catch up a little bit before he flies away.
Okay. I'm assuming you don't need to have anything particularly said.
No,
So,
not necessarily. Just mostly greetings, hellos. I'm actually here and alive. Okay, bye.
yeah.
Very Perry. Doesn't need to dawdle.
Yeah. And I will say, the details of which are that you sit down at a meal with your family, with all the kids who were part of your group, part of the very, like, let's face it, very, very strange communal family that they have going on in Lowhold. Some of whom have started working in the mines, started working as craftsmen. A new batch of kids have turned up, are being reared together, being raised together. You speak to parents, to siblings, and essentially nothing of import is talked about, but you feel a little weight lift from your shoulders. As much as you love the pod, and as much as there is a kind of unbreakable bond between everyone, between all of your riders and all of the dragons. You've missed the communal love that pours from such a large extended family. So I imagine as you leave, call Tourmaline back down, get on and head back towards the swamp area. There is most likely a mixture of what could be called relief, along with trepidation for everyone who's in Lowhold.
Yeah, and a beeline, basically, back to the swamp.
Okay. Speaking of the swamp, Rithera, Cassandra, Incinzia, and Argent, you make your way back to the swamp. You make your way back to the camp, touch down on the ledge on the the hillside, overlooking the swamp. And I will say, in the ensuing little time, you notice instances of animals and so forth, essentially scurrying out further into the woods and things like that. Nothing, there's no like rampaging monster or anything like that, but the activity is... You definitely sense a tendency to move away from the swamp with the creatures, and you realize maybe it wasn't just you all being here. Maybe it was kind of the instincts of the animals as well that has made this area a bit more sparse of creatures, of animals.
They've got the right idea.
We're not abandoning everybody else.
Didn't say we should abandon everyone. I said, you don't have to be here.
No, I don't think we can stay in the swamp anymore.
No. It will not be wise, especially since it is dying. Food will become scarce, especially if we do not fix it.
So let's get the others and go.
Where are we going to? Are we going to Argent? Argent, are we going to the west?
If we are to potentially find the source of the power and maybe boost it or help it in some way, yes. The deep roots. But it is dangerous and we would need the whole pod.
And I mean, if this is happening here, who's to say it's not happening throughout Lee's?
Oh, I don't believe that this is the only instance of this happening. I would be extremely shocked.
It is likely that. But the power, if it is weakening, the seals will weaken. If we can help the power, it should help most locations at once.
Would it make sense that Desolation has almost corrupted? Is it corrupting the power, or is it freeing it? Is it
damaging it? There was a source. It looked like a dragon.
Well, who's to say if there were any other old entities awakening that the source would be the same?
I do not know, but the power was ancient, old, and strong. It may not be the same source, but this was tied to it. I would be unsurprised if many others are tied to it as well.
Is there anywhere we can get more information? We know they're excavating.
Suppose the library, yes, at Harrowhold may have more.
If
If we can get in
Mm,
and get the information.
or if the library has already been excavated, Charlian and Liberalia may have it. But we cannot dawdle too long.
No, but we have the meetings, the general, and we needed to go see your family as well, correct?
Well, we'll see what the general returns with and what the plan is for meeting.
How
And
long
then-
do we think that'll take?
What, it's a day and a half to Sunswept from from Lowhold? By foot?
So 2 days, give or take some time to have him respond.
Say a week, all in all.
Archie, do we have a week?
I do not know. We slowed it, but not stopped it. It is possible.
I can give you a little more information because you rolled well. You have maybe a month until it's like barely there, and the thing is that the more it dissipates, the less it's going to contain anything. So
We have a month before it is very, very bad. But the sooner we can take care of it, the easier it will be to take care of. The worse it gets, the more that is released and becomes a problem.
Like
But
a
I think if-
damn.
Yes, precisely. The cracks are showing. The bigger the cracks, the more water, and the harder it is to seal.
Okay.
I think we need more information first. So if we go to Harrowhold and see what we can attain, and then take the step of investigating this power if we need to. And if we want to, but depending on the information that we find. Do we agree?
That makes
Yes.
sense.
We should have everyone with us still, though, correct?
Yes, I think
Yes.
if we are to go to Harrowhold and try and liberate our supplies and books, then a united front.
It will be difficult with a couple of us going. It is very obvious. So if a whole pot is there, while it might scare people, we might not be in as much danger.
It also has become very apparent. I don't think the eggs or we can stay here much more
No.
than a week.
I would fear the corruption may spread to them if it takes too long and they are here.
Right. Yes. Well, we'll have to find a new base of operations, I suppose.
Yes, because do we want to take the eggs into Hairhold if we run into anybody? It's going to be very obvious that we are carrying a giant sack full of.
Yes. No, I suspect we don't, because if they are hostile, then that's going to be more
Yes.
motivation.
Leaving them here until after we have more information may be wise. And then taking them with us.
Yes.
Right. Good. We have another plan. We
Yes.
we also have to check for Perry's letter today. He's supposed to leave at Tarlian.
Yes. We could head that direction then.
We're fast. We can go as well if need be.
Yes, and we can check on the eggs and make sure they're not corrupted or being affected at all by it, I suppose.
Yes.
Probably
Who
a good
would-
idea.
Who would I be checking with?
think
For the
we-
letter?
You made acquaintance with the innkeeper who ran the tar pits, so that would be the choice that makes the most sense. It's also someone who's extremely well disposed to dragon riders.
Yes, I suspect the innkeeper would probably have a letter. Oh, and also there is a key phrase. So if Perry writes he misses the cake, then he is in distress and we need to go and liberate him from Lowhold.
Oh, okay.
Can I also ask very quickly, just for my own curiosity, how much of the cake has Cassandra, Rithera, and Ultra eaten?
I feel like I've promised Perry that we wouldn't eat it,
Yeah.
so we're not eating it.
Rithera doesn't
Although
have a
it's
sweet
like
tooth. She's not used to sweets, so
painful.
she's like
Yeah.
indifferent.
Did Cassandra even tell the rest that there was cake?
That's true.
Because only Perry and her knew.
Yeah. She didn't tell anyone, it's just ferreted away.
And
It's
the
just-
phrase is, I
yeah.
miss the cake, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
not
but
gonna.
that doesn't mean there is cake. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
That's
I'm not
weird.
going to think anything of it, right?
It's
Because I
just a
don't
key
think about
phrase.
cake. I just think of the only time that we've had cake, which was when you brought cake at the very first meeting, when you had cake stuffed away and nothing else important.
That was probably the last time you had cake as well, most likely. Oof.
Yeah, it's like it's a little nice thing, and if Perry were to die, she'd be really upset that she ate all the cake, so it has to wait.
Is that really what she's thinking? Like, oh my god, I'd be so guilty if I ate this
It'd be
cake
so
and
it'd be
Perry
so
died.
bad. Like
Okay.
Not that Perry's dead, but that she ate the cake without him.
Yeah.
Eyes, you know,
the final
she broke a
betrayal.
promise. Yeah, the final betrayal.
In that case, we'll play out the next kind of 6 to 8 hours. Essentially, a little time hanging around the camp. Then Rithera or whoever wants to go towards Talion, goes there. However, on the way there, yeah, you run into Perry and Tourmaline on their way back before you even get to Talion. So there would essentially be a kind of like, oh, hey, fancy seeing you here. There's probably a little bit of panic to begin with of like, oh, dragon. And then it's like, oh, no, dragons, we know dragons. And then you...
Hello.
Hi! I'm heading back!
Is everything okay?
Uh-huh!
You-
Sort of!
That sounds very promising.
Yeah, let's talk about it at camp!
I'll race you.
I'll lose! Looking down and patting Tourmaline's side.
You know, like, Tourmaline, it's got good stamina. But
Not sprint.
it does not sprint. In that case, you head back to the camp land. I will say as well, Argent will know this. And probably so will Cassandra to some degree through Argent and through conversation. But essentially, there is very little danger of any corruption on the dragon eggs or the hatchlings within. Dragons are another one of those primal powers. Their very nature is magical in its own right. So you're not going to experience much corruption, mutation, like any at all, really.
good to check on them though. Like, see how
Yeah.
still look like a rock.
Still look like a rock. And yeah.
think there's just like that concern, right? Like, and for me, for Rithera personally, I think she wants to protect them because it's the hope for the future. And I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but it's that like, just when you're anxious about something and you just want to check on it always to make sure that everything's just still where it needs to be.
You need to physically see it as well to be like, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I imagine that everyone to some degree is like, oh, I wonder how the eggs are doing. So, Perry, you return with Tourmaline. Tourmaline, who has not really had much of a chance to rest, I will say, surreptitiously curls up and gets some much needed sleep.
Tourmaline hasn't had the 15th nap of the day.
It's narratively extremely useful given the current circumstances.
But in line with characters, so it's fine.
Yeah. Always make it in line with character if you can. But it gives you a moment. It gives you the evening essentially to sit down by the fire and discuss things.
Yep.
So. And if you want, please do feel free to essentially say I tell them all the info that everyone heard a bit earlier. You don't have to go through it all you don't want to, but you can discuss the issues at hand.
Yeah, the main details. Yeah,
Okay.
War's brewing. They're gonna take 3 days to deliver the thing. All that, and being like, also they want me to be their king. Or general. I don't want to be king. Yeah, the king of the mountain.
How do you feel about that?
I don't want to be king. Because I wouldn't be able to be in the pod if that was the case. The compromise they wanted to do after that was have me be a general and raise an army for them so they can remain neutral, because that's the whole thing. Lowhold kind of doesn't like war or getting into anyone's business just to be themselves, and that's not going to be how it works anymore, because Cargilia will conquer them otherwise.
Oh, sorry, question. Do you tell Cassandra about her brother?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be the next step here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Told them that's why they're delaying a few days, because they want an answer before they go to Cargilia. Because if they're like, hey, yeah, by the way, we've got a big leader who happens to be a dragon rider, and there's a pod that backs them, the Cargilia might take pause and maybe not try to charge right away and let them be neutral for a bit if they'll work with them, just to be like, hey, we have power, stay away from us, but we'll still work with you when you need it and sell you things and all that. There's that. They did agree to deliver the letter, though, so, we'll still get it to them. The general, so kind of wanted to see what y'all thought about that, because I don't want my people to be conquered, but they all kind of want me to be their leader or some kind or nature. But maybe I could do that and still be part of the pod to kind of sway them and give them a little bit of leadership, I guess, and then leave. Also, your brother is now the lieutenant of Cargilia under the general. There's that.
Pardon?
Oh, yeah. The mayor said your brother's the lieutenant under the general now of Cargilia.
Of course he is. Oh, gosh.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say it, but I meant to say it. So this would be passed through Perry to Cassandra. He's also taken his seat on the council after graduating the academy.
Cool.
Yeah, and a council member, all that sort of thing.
Oh,
Basically, leadership and power in Cargilia.
Oh, he's going to be insufferable. Right. I see. Well, that's wonderful for him.
Yeah?
Helpful?
Oh no.
Well, he's under the general. We're talking to the general, not your brother, so that help?
No. Well, depends how much the general listens
Hmm.
to him, I suppose. But
Or
imagine
to-
your little sister, who you have much disdain for, entreats you to not go to war with the realm and try and subjugate everyone. How would you take it?
I don't have a sister that I don't like.
Same.
But I see what you're trying to say, and the general doesn't like you? You said the general does like you.
Well, the general is, friends of the family. My brother is my brother.
Yeah, but you're not talking to your brother, we're talking to the general. So we're trying to convince the general, not your brother, so...
I'm
But
a council, which is another step to get through.
Right, but if they
There's
don't
not-
have the
there's-
backing of the general, that's good, though.
Are you saying we also have to convince your brother?
Well, perhaps the council as a whole, yes. There's not a ruling person in Cargilia. It's run by a council, you see, and now my
How long
brother
will
is-
it stay like that, though? If they become warmongering, there will be someone who takes power. Usually.
I feel that would have a lot of infighting that is usually done quite subtly.
Yeah.
Politics.
Yes. And if they have grander designs, then there's probably alliances being made and focus. And then once everything's set up, maybe accidents happen along the way, but overall, they'll probably be quite united seeming.
Would
Yeah.
you like me to exposit a little bit more on the political situation in Cargilia?
Yeah. I'm making stuff up.
No, it's pretty much on point. So the Tylan family are more servants. Not servants specifically in the way of, like handing out drinks and stuff. They are traditionally the head of, they used to be the head of the royal guard for the emperor. Essentially the most feared, most martial family organization in the whole of the empire. You also have the mayor, which is the Ashdown family is currently in the position of mayor. The Topwells are in charge of commerce, which unfortunately the Linden family also have a massive stake in and influence in. The DeClaire family were once probably the most renowned mages in the Imperial Court. Then you have the Musgrave family, who are unimportant and essentially a position filled by non-nobility to interact with and liaise with the Dragon Riders when they existed. And you finally have the Linden family, who are... I will say, for you, Cassandra, feel free to withhold as much of this part as you want. They are related to the Emperor. It is a branch family. However, the Lindens are probably have the most claim to the Imperial throne of any of the families in Cargilia, probably along with the Ashdowns, the Declares, and the Topwells. They could all make arguments. They all married into the Imperial family. They all, which is why Cargilia has always been so important, even after everything. They were very influential, and I I can give Cassandra this. It makes sense that they try and take command of the situation, whether for good or for ill, whether for the pursuit of power, or just someone needs to take charge and protect everyone.
Initially, Cassandra was hoping that it was going to be that someone has to take charge and make sure there's sort of order. And then after Perry's info was like, if you don't come to the meeting, there will be sorties and there will be armies. It's like, oh, it's the other thing. Cool. Okay.
And if they're backed by mages, and dragon riders, they're going to have an advantage over any of the others. To give you an idea on mages, the type of things they can do is essentially channel. We've spoken about mages and magic before. The older ones don't have much of a life left, so they know a lot of spells. They have a lot of control, but they don't have much power. The younger ones have a lot of power, but they can't do much with it. They need the knowledge and they need experience. Essentially, the type of things mages can do, they channel that power of their kind of like life force into manipulating elements, things around them. So they can do things similar to what the dragons can do, just not as impressive. And they can't create, they can't really destroy, they can't manipulate in the way of like, they can't turn turn lead into gold, for example. But they could create a large mist, bring up the winds. Technically speaking, they can concentrate a whole load of power and just explode, as we've experienced. But essentially, the main use they had in the Empire was as anti-people, anti-infantry. In wars, they were very effective against people. And one of the things that led to the downfall of the Empire is that dragons being like natural magic and melding with the riders meant that they were mostly impervious to mages, both of them. Makes the dragon riders a natural enemy of the mages and a stoppage for their power. If they have both in an army, it is going to become more complicated for, say, example, a few riders who may want to, curtail their actions. So, yeah, that's the... I will also give the additional thing, if Cassandra wants to share it, that the general is reasonably reasonable. He's also quite practical.
Yeah.
So, like, his loyalty is to essentially the more royal bloodlines. He'd listen to you, and you did get along with him. He was a nice person, but he's a soldier, and he's trained to be a soldier and to be loyal. So it's a difficult.
He would like
prospect.
hear us out, but it doesn't mean he'll enact like what we say, kind of thing.
The addition thing is Valentine, your brother, has from a young age always been extremely, I'm not going to say a warmonger, but think of that classic British officer who desperately wants to prove his valor in battle. He's got that type of impulse there with him where he wants to prove his worth, he wants to go to war, he wants to fight and defeat people. So those things combined will be reasonably rough for that letter headed off to
Cargilia. Yep. Okay.
I can also give you a little bit more, which is just essentially that the ties between Regalia and Cargilia are quite strong. There are noble families in Regalia as well, much the same as Cargilia. And at a guess, you could guess that the same thing that's happening in Cargilia is happening in Regalia. Well, around Regalia as well.
Yeah, they probably probably half coordinated it together. So the general will hear out what we have to say, but again, he is a soldier. He is under the employ of Cargilia and will do what is required of him. There may not be any swaying him, even if he'll listen to us.
Okay.
I
So
should
we-
probably become a general then.
That's quite limiting to Lowhold, Perry.
I
This
know.
is-
I would try to get. I wouldn't do it without autonomy. I could set them up and kind of come and go as I need. But
And we have to think
Okay.
about what kind of message that would send.
that they want to stay neutral, that they can't.
Does it?
Yeah,
Is that neutral though?
yeah. Because otherwise, they'll get subjugated. We're staying here. We have some backing now. This is what the people unfortunately want.
To me, that would sound like Lowhold, would have a competing force, and
I'm aware.
they are the weapons suppliers of
Mm-hmm.
the region, and who's to say Cargill wouldn't take that as a...
They would. No, they would. But also, if they don't want anything to do with Cargilia, and they can't resist.
Could I get a resolve roll from all of the riders, please? Anything to do with politics or kind of just the general, history of the land and military matters also.
I'll use a thing that I never or don't use very often. But it's perfect moment,
Two tens.
Oh.
which was basically I think you mentioned it's just like a success that I can have.
Yeah.
Harry's been thinking about this for like 6 hours as he flew.
Currently speaking, the likelihood is that, and this is for Perry, and let's have a look. Rithera, that's a good roll. This is probably more for Rithera, I would give a little tint of warrior, being independent. Cassandra, I'd say your mind is too fixated on Corgelia and your family and all of those people there who are now probably worrying to you. So most of this probably slips by or hasn't yet occurred to you. Perry, you have a moment where you play out the future of this area of La'is and the areas surrounding La'is as well. You recall the teachings of Iliagar and of Avenda, who at certain times touch upon the importance of the riders and what it means to the area. Currently speaking, there are at most a few riders who have pledged themselves to Cargilia. Maybe just one. Master nonetheless, but currently speaking, you've only encountered one other rider. He was running away. The appearance of a rider who pledges himself to another power in the area would very possibly lead to an arms race of who can get the most riders, who can recruit the most riders, and who can wield that power. It would essentially draw the lines for conflict. Even if the intention for Lowhold was to stay neutral for as long as possible, it would lead to conflict. And it would set a precedent for the entire rest of the continent that would be picked up by all of the cities, and essentially they'd try to get as many riders as they can on side, start vying for power, and riders would become a commodity of war. And that would mean that you would all have to fight and kill in fairly large numbers. Inevitably. Essentially, you 8 find yourselves on the crux of history with possibly the ability to completely change the course of what will happen, depending on what you do next.
Yep. Just kind of what Perry was, what I was thinking in general. But yeah, like, you're not wrong, but also war is gonna happen anyway between Frontier and Cargilia, and if they conscript all of the cities under Cargilia, they have no choice. War's happening regardless. It's not an easy choice, but
Right.
I want my people to be able to defend themselves, and they can't.
Which makes sense. But are we wanting to put ourselves in that war against potential other dragon riders? Because I feel like that's where eventually it would go.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
we're already potentially there with some of
that's-
them.
we're gonna be
going.
there regardless with Cargilia. I don't think we can avoid that. It's just a matter of how it plays out.
Well, we're discussing it and we haven't even tried yet.
No,
Haven't
you're
even-
correct. We got to get the letter and try with the general and all that and see if we can dissolve the count. But we'd have to dissolve the entire council, basically. They want war. And then we'd also have to stop Frontier because they also want war.
We're just stopping wars when what we haven't even told you is that how do Argent, you can, how do we explain this? The corruption is starting in the world and magic seals are breaking and
Ugh.
I don't know. I am not the one who understands what's going on. I'm just, it's a dam willing to break and it's starting to crack.
More bad stuff. Got it.
So we have war, politics, magic, and the world crumbling beneath us. Okay. So we can't stay here any longer. We have to pick something. We have to do something, or else everything's just going to fall apart.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I can't let my people be subjugated. It's that or side with them. There's no in between for them unless we can somehow stop Cargilia in a few days.
And offer them protection. Offer your home.
If we offer my people protection, even if I don't become a general, that's still doing the same thing.
There is a difference between becoming a general of Lowhold and dragon riders protecting a city from subjugation. Because that is what we have done historically.
But that was the past. Do you think Cargilia will think that? It will look like we're pledging ourselves to them. If we show up and defend when they show up to subjugate them, they will see that as an act of war for Lowhold.
They will know full well our history. As the master is there, she will know whether she wants to admit it or not. And if we have the proper discussions and lay the lines out, then we can only do what we can do. I think people will make decisions, but when it comes to dragons and riders being used as weapons of war, then that is where we need to step in, whether they be victimizing merchants on the road. We threw the metaphorical gauntlet there. We draw the line and say, dragon riders used in disputes between cities and towns is not going to stand. That's and what people do, we can do so much. We can be neutral and bolster defenses where possible and try and broker peace. But if we align ourselves with specific cities, then that will put us in direct conflict.
But that's what we'll be doing regardless, because many cities have already pledged to Cargilia. It will be us trying to defend a few cities.
That's my point. Like, visually, a few cities is different than one. All the focus will become on Lowhold.
Well then, maybe
If we align.
go to each one of the cities and say we're protecting all of them. I can still help my people. And we can also basically go, we are protecting the cities that wish to be free, that do not wish to join. All the other cities have standing armies of some kind, except for Lowhold.
That was going to be my question. But
We have
also,
nothing.
okay, because is there a way that we can support and help protection without directly being involved?
No. We'll be seen as protecting them regardless. Any city we show up to will send a message.
Perhaps there's more in the histories of how the wars were broken up by dragon riders years ago.
Hundreds of dragon riders is the answer. We don't have that.
Well, we plan to go to Harrowhold and retrieve some of our history already.
Yeah, and that will help. I don't think it's as easy as we're trying to make it, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
I
There's
agree.
no
don't think-
simple solution.
I don't think any of this is easy.
To interject, at the same moment, Argent, Incinzia, and Tourmaline, all of their heads snap up and move in the and point in the direction of the steel spine. As you hear and see the oncoming figure of a dragon headed towards you. As it gets closer, the tenseness of it fades away a little bit as you realize it is Ardor. However, very quickly the tenseness returns as you realize Ultra is not riding her. Ardor, you come zooming in and land in a panic and a little bit of flustered landing, let's call it.
A lot of flustered.
Lot of flustered landing. And yeah.
Probably not my best landing. It's like probably a giant thud. And what you first notice is the fact that the heads, which are normally like da da da, are all forward facing, like very distressed.
And
Where's Ultra?
So we need to go now. Pod's needed. Ultra's been kidnapped. And we're not gonna let her go unless we all just go there now.
And we will end there for today.
Just one thing after another.
Yes.
I'm doing great. Just spent like 20 minutes talking about how everything's going wrong. And
then everything continued to go wrong.
even more so.
Yeah. Apologies.
How dare you?
Oof. So, yes. We will go into outros in a moment. I will just say that, sorry everyone for essentially, putting this situation on your laps. Hopefully you're enjoying it. It's going to get very interesting because I feel like everyone's loyalties are going to be extremely tested to Pod and to other people, and I have no idea which way anyone's going to bounce on this. I feel like possibly the entire pod could break up and go their separate ways. Yeah, I could see Perry being like, nope.
I'm king now.
And
I just can't wait.
Cassandra's got a lot of interesting choices ahead of her.
Definitely going to be pressed when she does meet her family, and if Perry goes to Lowhold, it's going to be like they're gonna. Yeah.
That definitely draws the line. I know Dan has to jump, so Dan, if you want to. Dan is Domestic Dan on Twitch. Go check it out.
Hi.
There's
Y'all are great.
Variety of things, cooking, gaming, everything. It's bloody lovely. Go check it. So, seeing as Dan has been adequately outroed for, I will hop tato it for Dan to Rethera, Ardor, and Elbel.
Hi, I'm Elbel or Ellie. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. I stream 4 days a week and I do a large variety of things. Recently, I've gotten back into playing Hades and been absolutely loving it. We get to start a new game on the weekend, and I think we're going to play Stray. So I'm excited. And that's it. I don't have anything else. So over to the wonderful Cassandra Dash and Incensia.
I'm Tashna. I generally do a lot of Final Fantasy XIV content, but I've also just been making dinner and streaming that. That's a thing, and I'm taking injuries at the same time.
I was gonna say, how did that go?
Yeah, not great, but standard for cooking streams. So that's me, obviously playing Cassandra and Incensia. It's quite. Incensia was quite quiet today.
Yeah.
That's okay.
A little bit of sass, but
a little bit of heavy opinion.
Like, we gotta leave. We gotta leave the stinky swamp. No one likes swamp.
That's the one
all of
thing
your
that
characters don't like the
Cassandra
swamp.
and Cynthia
I
agrees
know.
on.
I agree. Let's leave the swamp. Keep landing in water. It's terrible. That's me, and I'll hot potato sheepy.
Hello everyone, I'm Sheepdogger around the Wandering Inn. We've talked all about Patreon, all about Twitter, all about Discord and everything along those lines. If you do enjoy the Dragon Rider system, it is available up on the Patreon. If you're a member, if you've pledged, then you can download the system such as it is, play a game of Dragon Riders with your friends if you like. Or make friends and make them play it. Could be fun too. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and moving forward, I have no idea what's going to happen to the setting and lore that I've set up, because as the cast may have realized, the Dragon Riders at this point are possibly the most powerful and influential things in the area. You know, it's if you say like, oh, we're going to protect Lowhold, it suddenly makes Lowhold one of the most powerful cities in the world. Just because, you know, it's the nature of the Dragon Riders. And one of the things that I have been trying to, you know, kind of subtly imply and everything is that the power vacuum that has basically formed, it was never like, oh, we will protect this place from this place. It was literally, don't do war or bad things, or we will just, don't make us, you know, kill everyone kind of thing.
Don't make us do it, we will.
Which is fine in a way for the masters and for more experienced Dragon Riders. You may have noticed your pods never got sent out to put down any type of human rebellion or you know, bandits or anything like that, because that would essentially put you into a position where it's do what we say or we kill you. And, you know, there's a certain... I'm not sure how things are going to go, because I don't think that the riders, or even possibly the dragons, have realized that they may get put into a situation where they could decimate an army by themselves. I suspect the only duo who may have thought about this a little bit would be Ardor and Ultra, because they did that thing to the dragon that they did. They're like,
oh yeah,
holy
Ardor
shit.
is like definitely like had this realization of the power, and is actually probably still very scared.
Yeah.
Of her own power.
So we'll obviously have to see how that goes in the next episode. Speaking of the next episode, for Dragon Riders, we have next week, and then a break of a week, and then another 4 episodes coming. So we'll take a little bit of a break after the next episode next week, and then we'll be back the week. It's all schedule. Go check out the schedule on Discord. It's all up there. At the same time, as we take a break from Dragon Riders for a week, we will also be bringing in and premiering the QT, which is a new... I hate describing it, because what I have to say is it's kind of like Buffy. It's the supernatural high school kind of thing, but it's nothing like Buffy at all. It's just, you know, that's the closest thing I can get to, but it's nothing like it at all. So if you're interested in that garbage that I just spouted out of my mouth...
We all are.
Then on the 31st of January, the Monday at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. EST, will be the premiere. The cast members have been announced because I played the trailer. I had to think for a second. We will be having the wonderful and lovely Lima Zulu Tango, Classy Katie, Distracted Elf, and Syrinx joining us. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And one of the things I'm tempted to do, although I won't promise anything, is we don't have any art of the characters to release, but I may do a few tweets with their theme songs, because everyone in my show has theme songs.
Wonderful.
It was difficult coming up with 8 for all the riders and the dragons.
You did great though. I love the music in this show so much.
So good.
Did you notice that right at the end I put on Agony's theme song?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh,
It's-
cool.
It,
Good.
Great.
something about
Terrifying.
that song is so disconcerting, with the like wobbling and then it goes into the sad violin. Like, what is going on? Anyway, I won't keep everyone all night. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, cast, and especially Dan, who's run away now. But thank you, Dan, for for the show today. And we will see everyone next week. Goodbye.
Bye bye.